So, hey Brandon, how you doing?
I'm doing good.
It's really nice to see you. It's
Good to
been a
see you.
while. It's been a while. So as you know, we're doing this video series so we can take them into the men and women and the youth prison. And you're one of our teachers. And so I'm not gonna introduce you much other than that you're a really valuable member of our team, and you've been with us since the beginning. I'd like you to, because a lot of people won't know who you are, if you could just introduce yourself and say who you are, what you do in the world, and then how we met originally, and then I'll take it from there and ask you some questions.
Okay. Um, my name is Brandon Brown, 37 years old. I met Anna roughly 4 years ago when she first started up her program at CRCI. I was one of the first groups of people that came through. And, you know, these principles, they really changed my life, and I've been with the program ever since. I've been part of the Inside Alliance from day one. I currently, right now, I work with the city, for the city. I do a lot of cleanups, a lot of close personal contact with police and homeless community. That's about it for me.
Okay, so where to start? Well, do you know what? It's so funny. I'm just like, there's so many questions and I don't even know where to start. Okay, let's start with, just tell me a little bit too about your past, your history that got you into prison in the first place. Like what, just so people know about where, because it's like now you're out and you're doing amazing, but I know that you were very different growing up, and I'm just curious a little bit about that first so people get context.
So, I was a very troubled youth, I guess that's what they would say about me. They say a lot about us. But yeah, I was into gangs and drugs very heavily in my youth, and it led to me making some decisions in my life that just spiraled out of control, went downhill. I caught several assault one cases and landed in prison for 15 years. And during that time, I did some serious soul searching and fighting my past and trying to make changes from being a gang member as well. So that's a whole nother story of prison that added to everything in my life. So I had to go through a long journey until I met you and the Inside Alliance and these principles. And then my life just has totally changed. And now I'm on the track and the path of life that I feel I should be on.
And so, there's a lot of people that say that, I kind of came across this understanding and then everything changed. And it can seem kind of a bit odd for people because it's like, we're not teaching something that you have tools and you're absolutely learning. So I'm just curious, what is it that you heard or what did you see that changed everything? Like, what did you hear in group that did allow you to see life differently?
I mean, the principles are like you said, it's not like we're really teaching us anything that we already don't have and that we don't know about ourselves. I don't know if it was maybe just the timing of life, but it was so many things that clicked for me. And I was just like, oh my God, this is so perfect. This is right. That's me. I think the biggest thing for me that I took out of this was that it quieted. I just, all the voices, all the thoughts and everything that would go through my head got really quiet. And for once in my life, I really listened to stuff. And you had said something one day, and I want to say it's probably like week 3, week 4 of the class. you know, like at first I really wasn't like, day one, the first class, first two classes, I was like, I'm not really with it. I'm not understanding this. I don't get it. And maybe it was a little hard for you too. It's your first class that you were teaching, you've never done this before. So going through that whole experience was, it was new for both of us on both our ends. So you had said something about other people controlling our emotions, not allowing other people to control our emotions. And what you had said was something my brother had said to me, my younger brother, by the way. He had said something to me, but he said it in other terms that people from the streets would understand. And you put it in terms that were just simple. It was just so much more simpler. And all I did is go back to bed that night and I just thought about that. I was like, nobody controls me. I control me no matter what the situation is. I'm in control. And from that moment on, just everything, I just wanted more. I needed more of this, this understanding, these principles. And every time I can take your class, I can go through these principles for 10 weeks, 10 weeks after another, after another, after another. And I always have a new insight, a new enlightenment that wakes me up and shows me something different about myself that just, I'm not done learning. Even as a teacher, I'm still learning stuff. I still learn who I am as a person, but I have more of an understanding now of who I am as a person and that I can't let the outside world control me, which I'm finding is sort of difficult at this time frame right now that's going on. Yeah, I'm like experiencing things now that I would read about in history books, that my grandparents would talk to me about, stuff that Black people went throughout history. And I just feel like, I'm living their stories again, in a sense. And it's been kind of unreal, been really surreal right now. And yeah, I'm just trying to take it one day at a time right now, and it's been sort of rough. It's been rough.
Yeah. I know when I think we spoke or I checked in with you a week ago or so, and you were saying you were feeling confused, and I was curious. I was like, it's like I imagine or hearing sadness or anger or frustration or rage or whatever, and I was really curious about when you said I feel confused. What did you mean?
Well, I'm not 100% Black. I'm half white. So I've always felt torn between two sets of worlds. But I also know that the world only sees the Black side of me. They don't know that I'm half, Black. They don't know that about me. You see me, I'm just a Black man. So I've always identified my whole life as being a Black person. Internally, I know I'm not 100% Black. I know that I am half white. So being torn between two sides of worlds has been kind of a thing for me throughout my whole entire life. I've always experienced that. Then I've lived my whole life basically until I was 34 years old as a criminal. And now I'm living my life as a part of society that's supposed to live and do things a certain way. And I try to look at life differently as what people from my background would call being a square. I just call it I'm just a citizen now. I'm just a normal everyday person. So living that life and knowing where I came from now, I feel almost torn between two worlds once again. As a citizen, I want to live life a certain way. I want to see things in this world a certain way. But as a criminal, when I see that world that's supposed to be designed a certain way, that cops are to serve and protect and be there for us, and stuff like that is supposed to happen, I get torn. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, it just kind of puts me in a realm of feeling of like I'm lost now, because part of me is like, well, I know the system isn't 100% because I've been on the other side of the tracks, and now I see it from a different perspective. And it's kind of hard to try to be like, where's my place in this? Do I stand up as a Black person for all my rights? Do I sit here and be a quiet person as because I'm half white? Do I want to stand up and fight somebody and scream at the top of my lungs every single day for the whole world to hear my voice, to see who I am as a person, to know that the things that are going on, that I'm seeing my people get killed on a regular basis by people that are supposed to protect us? It puts me at a torn, you know, I get lost, and it's just like, I don't know what to do sometimes. And sometimes I feel like, is my voice enough when I'm seeing everybody do it? And they're screaming at the top of their lungs, you know, hey, stop killing us, stop killing our people. But it's still going on. I mean, even in the midst of all this, you know, there's stuff that are going on right now. Like, my job is to go clean up stuff like this, clean up dead bodies and things. And I just cleaned up another one that a cop just killed this guy Sunday night. And that's in the middle of all this, of everybody fighting for these rights, for to be human and protected. It's still going on. So then I get lost again. I'm like, well, what are we doing this for if you're still doing it? Is it enough? What is enough? What can I do? And I watched a video of an elderly Black man, I guess, trying to persuade a younger Black man, and they were in Philadelphia. And he's explaining to him, and he pulls his grandfather in, this elderly Black man pulls in another one, and it ends up being his you know, his uncle or grandfather or somebody. And he was like, that man did the same stuff. I've done the same stuff. And you're out here and you're doing this, but it's time for something different. And when he said that, I just was like, well, what's different? What can I do? And when you're at a loss, when you don't know what to do, I find that is a very hard thing, you know, when you're just, what can I do? And that right there is confusing to me.
Right. That makes perfect sense. And knowing what you do and hearing what you do, just so you know, it's like just what you described before I press record on all this stuff. And, you know, you just saying that you have to go and clean up the police station because they're in solidarity and therefore they're not doing what they're meant to be doing. And also from the cleanup from COVID and everything, like, you're doing what you do is just amazing, and I couldn't do it. And I think when we've been trying to do this interview for a while before all this kicked off. And so now the questions that I have are very different, because the questions that I'd have before around how do you deal with your job, and how you deal with coming across dead bodies, and, you know, really difficult kind of getting attacked in some situations and getting, you know, knives pulled on you and this and that. And we'll start there because I'm still interested. Like, how does you understanding your mind and finding peace inside, like you said that you did, from everything quieting down, how has that been helpful in navigating like work? You know, before we go on to anything else, like how has you, because I'm imagining that it really is helpful to have to do what you have to do every single day.
Knowing that every situation I go into is totally different, and that there's no two people on the same earth that will have the same perspective of how we see things in life. And knowing that I don't know what kind of day you're having. if I were to walk up to you, you could be having a real shitty day, and a simple hello to you could have been your cue to set you off. In my eyes, I was being a nice, kind person, just saying hi. But to you, that hi could have been a real fuck you, honestly. Like, oh yeah, he's being fucking facetious right now. He's not sincere about that. I don't know this. So knowing that I have to come into every single situation is different really, really helps me out a lot. It helps me to know I don't know what I'm getting into. I know that if I come across a person, I don't know what their day is. So I always approach everything with a positive mind, and I'm always sincere to everybody. I don't approach situations like, like they teach us how to do our job. Hey, I'm with the city, I'm here to post. I come up, hey, how you doing? Everything going all right? Especially right now, it's more, hey, is everything okay? Do you need something? Do you want anything? I mean, is there some way that I can try to help you? I'm more concerned more for everybody's well-being. And I've actually been spending a lot of money trying to help people out when I see them now, which has been awesome because it actually got me a raise.
Nice
So
job.
my boss was like, hey, you're going above and beyond. I've gotten several calls in about you that you've helped a lot of people out recently. I'll give you a raise, And I was like, well, that's cool, but I wasn't doing it for that. I was just trying to be that person to look out for another. I know it's tough times. I don't know what everybody's going through. It could be even harder for the people that are out there now. And I'm not sure what their mind state is. So just knowing that every situation is different, and I know somebody's not going to see things my point of view, I just try to look at it from their point of view.
You know what's just so cool, Brandon, is that there's so many people think people don't change. Leopards don't change their spots and what have you. I imagine, and I think this was you actually, where I was going with that, were people, seeing you now and seeing you being on the streets and helping people and getting a raise because of how many people you're helping. You flipped to 10 years ago, you being on the streets and not maybe helping in the same way. You know what I mean? And I think, and actually being a destruction rather than, you're kind of a liability rather than an asset. And now, because your mind has expanded and because you see that we all live in different worlds depending on where our mind is, and so therefore you approach that in a particular way, it's your real asset, a real asset to the community. And I think it was you, when you were in the middle of your job, that someone, police officer, saw you. You actually went up to a police officer and said, hey, I used to know you, but you're in a different capacity. And he was really blown away by how much you'd changed. Was that you?
Yeah, that was me. That's my boss's favorite story.
Well, say it, because I can't really remember it.
So he tells it every time that he goes to conferences and stuff. He says it tickles his pickle. Because he was there, and it was a brand new contract that we had just got working with the Gresham Police. And so he wanted to be there for it. And as we're working, I keep looking at this officer and I'm like, I know that guy. I know him. But I know him from a different life that I lived. And I was kind of nervous at first because I was like, where I know this guy from, he's chased me down and arrested me on several different occasions, or pulled me over and confiscated me with a pocket full of drugs. And this guy's really been on my case a lot as a youth. So I was a little nervous to approach him, but I just wanted to see if he knew who I was. And the only way that he really could remember me is he was like, you're that little fucker I chased and you hopped over a fence and I could never catch your ass, weren't you? And I was like, that was me. He goes, holy shit. I mean, and for him, it blew his whole mind. And he's like, fuck, I called you to come work for me? He goes, what the hell's the odds? What are you doing nowadays? And, we got to talking and he tells my boss, he goes, that little fucker was fast. And, he goes, I used to chase this guy and look at him. Look at him, man. He's working and he's just doing good. And yeah, so that was that was my boss. For my boss, that is the biggest thing for him to see, like, damn, you really did come from a whole different life. I heard this from the police's mouth, that, and just to know that you're doing better now, he was like, that's freaking awesome, Brandon. And he was like, look at that. You ran from this man at one point of your life, and now this man calls you for help. I was like, yeah, if you look at it like that, that's a complete 360 right there. So yeah,
It's just so hopeful too, you know, people that are watching this and they're in prison, and it's like they can think, oh, I can't change, this is my life, you know, I'm just going to be on the corner, I'm going to do this and that, and it's like you're such an amazing testament to how humans can change, or not, it's like, or how the real Brandon comes back to the surface, because you know, as a kid, like as a child, we're all good, and then life gets in the way, and now all that kind of fell away, and you get to be you again, and you get to be doing what really you're made to do, which is help people, whether it's at work but also with us too. It's like you know, most people who get out of prison, it's like, okay, I'm done with this, like whatever group it is, however much they say, I'm going to stay, I love this program, I'm going to be with. Most people just go off and do their lives, which is fantastic. They're out there living life, and I love that, you know, you heard something and you saw something that changed in you, that you want to help other people, and you're doing it in your work, and you're also doing it with us. And it's not been the easiest thing to stick with, because as you know, you can't come back, you know, you've only been now a couple of times been able to come back into prison, but you're there for the long haul, and you're wanting to do, you know, to come back. And I just think, when you ever have a moment of thinking you're not doing enough, like even just you being you in the world, you're doing enough.
thank you, thank you. You know, it's kind of hard being a voice out here that feels voiceless. And I think that's a big thing for Black people right now. I think most of us feel voiceless. I think when we honestly look at the bigger picture of it, I can honestly look at and be like, my grandfather did the same exact shit that I'm doing now. You guys marched for us, and he marched for even more than what was now. Like, my grandfather had no rights like we do now. He couldn't even drink out the same water fountain as a white person. I mean, so he had even less than what we've had. And then my father, he had to go through stuff and fight for it. And I'm seeing I'm a third generation that's fighting for it. And I look at my daughter and I'm just like, you got to fight too? So as a Black person, yeah, I think a lot of us feel very voiceless, very helpless, and a lot of us don't know, is it enough that what we do? So by you telling me that the things that I do are helping, that means a lot, you know. That is, because to be honest, I do feel helpless a lot of times. I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
I don't know how to help my people. I don't know how to be that voice for them. I don't know if my voice ever would be enough. So every day I just fight to be a better me. And what little help that I can give to whoever I can give it to, I just offer it. You know, a hand, that simple hello to somebody is enough to make somebody's day, to turn life around for them. So I guess that's where I am right now, just trying to find my place right now to be there for my people as much as I can.
Yeah, I know. And I don't want this to be about me at all, you know, because I feel that, like, I don't know what to do, you know. I don't feel like I don't know what to do either, you know. We can feel really helpless, and no, I can know that I'm part of the problem, and it's like, oh, fuck, and you know, and I am doing something, you know. It's like being in the criminal justice system. It's like, but I still every day feel like, okay, but look at it, like, look at this, I want to do more. And it's I've got to, and I'm seeing things and I'm learning and I feel educated, but I also don't know anything, you know. So I'm feeling like I'm learning so much, and it's uncomfortable, like it's really uncomfortable, and it's good, like, but it's necessary, you know. And I'm curious as well what you think about this too, because I was doing this really small interview actually with Blue for you know, where he works, and talking about what we do. And then I was saying that there's a lot of people, you know, when we do this program in prison and they start to feel better, go, oh my God, the guards need this, you know, the COs, they really need to get this, you know, because they're so agitated. And then, you know, I got a call from Michael, or a text, you know, who's also training as one of our teachers, you know, another guy who really wants to stay involved. And it's like, we need to work with law enforcement. And it's really important that we do this with law enforcement. And you can see the comments at the side. And one of the guy, there was, I don't know who he was because everyone's got funny names and that, whatever, but I could just see out of the corner of my eye, people just going, oh, fuck the police. Why do you want to do? And it was a Friday night, and I was just like, do you know what? I can't be bothered to argue with this guy, and I don't, you know, whatever. But in my sense, there's a real need when I look around. It's like, okay, I can help people get out of prison and do well, and point them back to their own innate health and how their mind works. And then people run with it and they do great. But I can't stop a police officer coming and stopping you in the street for no reason, or, you know, and then I feel like, oh my God, well, I'm doing nothing. And then I was like, we've got to work with the police. And so to anyone that would be listening going, but why would you want to work with the police? Like, what do you think, why that would be helpful?
Why?
Or not?
So my boss pulled me to the side the other day. I believe it was last Tuesday. And I had already went and worked 4.5 hours in the Justice Center overnight. You know, I think I was there from like 12:30 at night to like 5 in the morning. Jeez. Doing janitorial work while all the midst of everything is going on downtown. You know, which was kind of crazy because they actually asked us to park like 5 blocks from the Justice Center. And they said, when you get there, just call us. We're going to have a police escort come get you, put you in the back of our car, and we'll drive you in. Well, that to me was like, it was freaking crazy because as we're going, like all these people swarm the cop car and they're like rocking. And I'm just like, I'm just trying to work. But nobody outside knows. They just see the cops. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, but I was watching the cops' reaction. And I don't see, and this is where I get confused again because I'm seeing things from their perspectives. They're wore out. I've worked with them like 3 nights in a row. They're as tired as I am, if not even tireder. I'm watching cops in groups, prayer circles, praying for their own safety, praying for their family's safety. I've watched citizens actually praying with the cops. They are going through a lot just as like we are. And I know not all of them are the cause of what's going on. And I also know that not every Black person who's out here is actually innocent doing what they're doing. So like I said, I get torn between worlds. I get torn between black and white, black and blue, you know? And it's just like, all right, are you with us? Are you with them? Well, I'm with me. I'm with my family. You know, that's who I'm with. Those are the ones I want to protect, or my family, my friends, you know? And I see these cops and I've been in the prison, so I see how they treat us. I see how a lot of them. So after I went through the program, I looked at them one way prior to the program. Fuck the police. Period. That's how I was. So I go through the program and I learned that you're right. I don't know what kind of day they're having. I don't know who they are. I don't know where they come from. I don't know nothing about these people. And so part of me is like, well, what if I did know you guys? Would I change? Would I think differently? What if you guys really knew who we were? Would their minds change? Would it be different? And over the last, you know, couple weeks, I've really been sitting here like, would it help any of them? Would their minds change if they went through this program? I can't speak for everybody. I can't speak for everybody. I can speak for everybody I've seen go through this program. And I do know that a very small percentage of us that I have seen go through this program, very, very small percentage of us are out there doing what we used to do. I don't know too many of us, honestly, that went through this program who aren't living a different life. You know, I don't know anybody who's gone through this program who hasn't given a testimony of what it's done for them, who hasn't changed their perspective. So do I think it would help them? Hell yeah, it would help. Hell yeah, it would help. It would help anybody who goes through this. This program is the best thing. And I would love to sit in a group with a whole bunch of cops and go through this program with them. I would love to see a group of guys who have gone through this program who are actually doing something totally different without the cops knowing that we were criminals, to sit in a group with us and us all go through a group together and see how we all act with each other at the very end of 10 weeks.
Let's do
And
it.
I guarantee we'll all be hugging and holding hands at the end of that damn 10 weeks.
And that's what's so crazy, but let's do it. We're going to do it. I mean, my commitment, when I think about what, about with all this and how much more we can work in prison, but you see what's going on and the criminality within the system that's going on. And like you were saying, you've a testament to how people can change, how someone can change. You can change your perspective. You can find love. You can find compassion. You can find understanding. You can really see and feel into the lives of others by looking at yourself. And so of course people can change, and which is what we want, and it changes one by one. So I think that's like a goal for us, for the organization coming out of this, is like, doing a group with both, and like you say, not knowing anything, and then you guys teaching, and that's what I want, because I don't want to, it's like, this is not my, this is important that it, I don't want to say I'm just the white woman in the room that shouldn't, but I need to shut up, and do what I'm doing, because I do know that it's helpful, and I don't want to, seem that it's not, but I also know that what you just said is really important. So I think that, I know you're doing enough already, but it'd be kind of fun.
It would. Absolutely would be. I would love it.
Yeah. So before we finish, because I know we've actually been going for almost an hour, to people that are in prison right now and that are watching the news and whatever, do you have anything that you'd like to say specifically, just, for whether it's the youth or whether it's the women or the men, or, anyone, the trans people that are watching these videos and seeing you now? Is there anything that you'd like to say just to end this?
Stay positive. Stay positive. I know it's tough right now, and deep down, I know that we are a very, very strong and powerful people out here. Not just Black people, but all of us, people in general, as a whole, that the resilience of this world is so freaking amazing. It's beyond amazing. And I've been sitting here trying to look at so much positive and look at the past and everything. And as a people, we've gone through a hell of a lot in this world. This isn't the first time that we've gone through a pandemic in our society. This isn't the first time we've gone through basically genocide in our society. This isn't the first racism that we've gone through. This is not our first rodeo. What I do know is the resilience of who we are as human beings, whether we realize it or don't realize it, is so freaking powerful. It's so beautiful and so amazing that I know we'll make it through all this. That I know that it doesn't seem like it at times, and I know it hurts inside, especially for those that are Black. I know this hurts inside. And for all the white people that support it and feel like they're hopeless and they're helpless too, it hurts. It does. But we're not helpless. We're not hopeless. Everything from a simple prayer to a good morning to a good night. How's your day going? All that means something to the next person in this world. And I know we're going to make it through all this.
Thanks, Brandon.
Thank you. I love you too, Anna.